Okay, so this is what I woke up to in the morning, looking over Val d'Anon, a valley in the Trentino region of northern Italy. I was off to Murano to meet some friends. It was stinking hot down in Bolzano down there. It was during the heat wave that we had in June, but I was looking forward to getting up to those peaks up there. But first of all, I sat on the hill, waiting for the appropriate time to go and meet my mates, and I could sit there and look at the wildlife or consider divinity. There was a couple of chairs, you could choose either one. But anyway, met the boys, and we were really there. I felt like that, but really I looked like this. Straight out onto the road. And at the first lunch break, I couldn't help but consider that my super bike from 1986 was no longer that super next to modern motorcycles. And I was definitely the smallest one of the bunch, surprisingly. But my word, we did some roads. Serious hardcore bikers, these guys. And had a good couple of days riding around northern Italy, around Cortina and around Marmolada, looking at all the damage of all those trees that fell in the windstorm that happened a few months back. Unfortunately, they'd already done the Passo della Stelvio before I arrived to get to meet them, so when they made the decision to return for home and ride halfway across the continent, I decided to go home via the Stelvio route.
It takes a long time. What else do you want to do at 7 o'clock at night?
Where we're talking here is in the northern Alps of Italy, on the border there. There's the Bolzano place down there, and then just a little bit north is Murano. I was going to go across and go down this pass here through Bormio, and then Passo Gavia. It's one of the greatest motorcycling roads in the world. Classic motoring, walking, riding generally, in a huge feat of engineering. 2,757 metres above sea level. It's the highest paved road in the Eastern Alps and the second highest in the Alps itself, after the one in France. It's in South Tirol in Italy, and the actual pass is only 200 metres from the Swiss border. The Stelvio Pass was also picked by the British automotive show Top Gear as its choice for the greatest driving road in the world, although their search was concentrated only in Europe. And because of its popularity, it's not as... the Top Gear team decided as petrol heads driving fantasies, but these days it's really an exercise in restraint and consideration for other road users. There's walkers, push bikers, motorcyclists, truck drivers, vans backing up there's all sorts. Anyway, you'll see it here. Here we are, we're going up the pass. And I've sped it up so I don't bore you too much, and I hope you enjoy the ride. See you at the top. I'd like to interrupt this little interlude of music to show you something that happens right here. Watch this guy and his mate. Cruising, overtaking me, a car and a cyclist into a hairpin bend with a truck coming down it. Just watch this. Everyone comes to a complete halt while these guys weave through. It's people like that that give motorcycling a bad name. And even on this hairpin bend, there are plainclothes civilians just hanging out. The red car pulls out. He says, "I'm having none of this. I'm sick of it." This happens a few times. This is just the first one. Anyway, where were we? Back to the climb. And finally a stop to catch a breather, and it is literally quite breathless at this altitude, and it continues on for the rest of the day, but just a chance to take in the serenity of this place. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's busy. I mean, this is the third time I've done this journey, and it's certainly busier now than it ever has been in the past, and it's quite an exercise to keep calm and just soak up the beautiful vistas. Well, here we are. Welcome to the top. This is what it's all about. As I've said before, this is the third time I've been over here. The first time was about 10 years ago. As usual, it's a bit of a congested place, difficult to get a park. I wasn't overly keen on staying there, so moved on. Basically, here you can buy your t-shirts and souvenirs and postcards. Sausages and paninis there. There's all your souvenirs. This is the ultimate hike, named after a cyclist, so respect the cyclists. And over on the left hand side you could, I think it's about $2 to use the toilet, so just a little bit too busy for me, and I've got a long day ahead, so I just quietly cruise past and find a quiet spot over the far side just to soak up the views and the silence. I keep talking about silence, but there is silence above the noise of the motorcycles. And then it's down the other side, and can be quite a fast stretch if there wasn't any traffic and other people to worry about, but otherwise it's a beautiful ride down the other side, and there's some spectacular feats of engineering coming up too. Down the far side there's bridges and permanent slips, and there's still a bit of action to come yet, if you're still with me. Well, strangely, it was another chair that caught my attention then. I mean, this is one of my favourite sides of the Passo della Stelvio. It's a pretty amazing view over there, and blow me down if there wasn't one of those contemplation chairs and there was nobody else there. So it was mine. So I pulled up on side and sat on that chair for a while and looked at the view, and way down the far side there, that's where I'm aiming. You can't sort of tell, but it's way, way down there. And look at that feat of engineering. What an incredible, incredible piece of asphalt. Tunnels, flowers, orchids, some of them. Anyway, I'm on the home stretch now. The bad news is that Passo Gavia was closed and I had to spend about an extra 2 hours going around through another pass. But such is life. Thanks for keeping me company. Maybe back to a sailing video next week, but I was a biker well before I was a sailor, I have to say it. Because there's remarkably similarities between the two sports. You've got to be a completely self-contained unit. When something happens, you have to deal with it on the spot. You're carrying everything you need with you at the time, and when it rains, you get wet. That's my view. Ciao for now.